Hi guys, it's Shel here with MiShel Designs and Shel's Jewelry Supplies on Etsy. Today I want to show you how to make my signature earring wires. And I've got a couple of different pairs here to show you. First, these are just our regular French style earring wires. These are what we call our sexy norms. And the reason I call them that is they're very much like the French norm, so sorry that my hand's in the way. But as you can see, they're rounded a little, and we say they've got the curves in all the right places. So these are the sexy norms. And the signature earring wires that I talk about, I've been making these for a little over 10 years. And as you can see, they've sort of got this little flattened, well, they don't sort of have, they do have a flattened part right here in front of the loop. And try to turn them this way and see if you can see. Really makes for a nice designer style of earring wire. And I've been making these, like I said, for over 10 years, and I've had a lot of people ask me how to do it, so today I'm going to show you how. So let's sit down here and get started. First, what I'd like for you to do is I'm going to have all of the supplies listed below so that you don't have to try to write while you're watching. But the one thing you're going to want to start with is 20 gauge wire. I use sterling silver, I use copper, brass, 14 karat, gold fill. No matter what the metal I'm using, I use 20 gauge. You can use what we would term as a lower gauge, meaning the higher number, but the metal is smaller. It's just that when you tumble it, they're not going to get as strong. So 20 gauge is just really very, very, very good for earring wires. So first of all, what you're going to do is you're going to take this. Now I've already hammered these little paddles, but what you're going to do is take the end of your wire, just hit it lightly a few times, and make these little paddles. It's hard to see, but they're flattened, obviously, after hammering them. Then you're going to take your file. Now you can do a jewelry file, which is, kind of the smart thing to do, or a handy dandy little fingernail file. I have this little broken one, and it looks really dorky, but I have worn it out throughout the years, and it fits perfectly on my block here, and I get a really good angle when I'm filing, when I go to do the part that goes through your ear. So I like this one. And like I said, it's really soft. So you just file off all the rough edges from the little paddles that you just made. And then what you're going to do is take your flat nose pliers. You can use chain nose pliers. It's a little trickier because, they graduate and get larger to smaller, where your flat nose pliers, it's a little bit easier. What you're going to do, you're going to hold them evenly in your hand. Take your flat nose pliers, open them up. Okay, ready? And you can hold them all the way up here or halfway in the middle, wherever you decide. I'm going to put them all the way up there just so you can see that. And then you're going to make a little bend. They're going to come out looking like little L's. Now, I mark my round nose pliers because, as you know, they go from large down here to small. And if you mark them when you're doing different projects, you can get the same circle or same diameter when you do your loops that you want on different projects. Now, for this one, I go to the second one. See, I've got them marked on both sides, so it doesn't really matter which side I use. You stick it in there, bend around and come up. And then you take the second one, and forgive me, my hands are kind of around the camera because I don't have a videographer, I just have me. So, at least today anyway. So, you put them in there again, bend them up. Now, they sort of look like little golf clubs, or one of my clients taking a class from me one time said they look like little musical notes, and they kind of do. And if there's a gap, You just scrunch them down just a smidge till they do look like little golf clubs. Put them up next to each other. Make sure that they're the same size. Then I use the small size of the wrapping taps. I have the large size, and then these are the smaller ones. And I use the largest size on the smaller wrapping taps, or looping pliers. A lot of people call them looping pliers. Put those right in there so that the flattened part, the paddle part that you just did, is in there. And the loop is secure on the bottom, right there snug. And I do it with my thumb, but to kind of show you easier so my hand doesn't get in the way, go all the way around like that. Undo, and off to a good start. Sometimes they get a little bent or moved, and I don't like it if everything isn't completely flat and all lined up. Drives me nuts. Kind of a dork that way, but anyway, go ahead and put them back together. Make sure they are coming out even. Then if there is a little bit of discrepancy in the length, there's not really that much, but I'm again particular, take your flesh cut nippers or cutters, and always cover your hand. Save your silver, I'm telling you, recycle it. And if it's brass or copper, I mean, because sometimes the refineries will take your copper too, but they won't always take your 14 karat gold, and they won't a lot of times take your brass, but you can use them in other projects, so it's a good thing to recycle. So go ahead, put your finger there, flesh cut. Then a lot of people hammer them flat this way to go in your ear, because your earlobe's like that and the hole goes in this way. I do it like this. The reason I do that is because usually after years of wearing earrings, your hole isn't round anymore in your ear, it's kind of up and down, and if it's gone this way and you flatten it out this way, if your earring goes to fall out, there's a little bit of a wider space here. If they're flat that way, they fall out. If they're like this, they don't have the tendency to do that as much. So, and I just personally think it looks better. It doesn't look like you just sat there and hammered. It looks like you did it and took some time and some care about it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Just a couple little smacks there. Don't want to hit it too hard. Now this is where I use, like I said, you can use a regular jewelry file. And when you file with one of these, you should go in the same direction at all times. Or you can use one of these. I like it because they have this little ledge here and they fit right on my blocks, but I've got this one kind of down to a science. I go back and forth. I'm going to do it real quick. I don't want my hands to get in the way, but another way to do it is, you know, go this way and then this way and then this way, and then brush off any burrs, because this is the part that goes in your ear, and you don't want anything whatsoever to be sharp at all. You want it to go in your ears very, very smooth without any rough edges or anything coming off. And a good way to tell is to rub it on your finger, and if you get scratched, you know it's not good enough. As an example, can you see that? That was scratched. This, not leaving any white mark where my finger is all dry. So make sure you file it really good. And I don't know if mine's filed completely good, but for the video, you know what it is. Now bring it back together. What I like to do is hammer this other part. I just want to make sure that the paddles look fairly good and that they're, you know, pretty similar. When you go to hammer these, if you do this, this is going to move. So always bring it out past where your little flattened part is, and then hammer this part. This strengthens it, and it also gives it some more design, a little more flair, I think. Oops, I just told you to not move that, and then I did it. Okay, put them all back together. Now, if you were to take your round nose pliers and do this at the same time, one of these was going to be bigger as far as the bend than the other, because, as you know, this is a larger size, this is the small side. It's not going to be that big of a difference, but if you're really particular like I am and you want things to be the same, use one of those marks and just slightly put a bend in your earring. Put that down, put it in the same one, and make a slight bend, and then check them out and see if they're the same. So here, and I can't get super close because my camera is not that good and it doesn't focus unless it's on camera mode, but you can kind of see what I was talking about is why I flatten it this way and not that way. So here are the signature pair of earring wires. You can get these over at shelsjewelrysupplies.etsy.com. And these are the ones I use in a lot of the earrings that I make on MiShel Designs on our site over there. And so hopefully you will now be able to make your own earring wires and have really cool looking ones instead of icky old mass-produced ones. I'm not a big fan of those. So anyway, go check it out. If you have any questions, please leave me a message. Thanks.